Yeah. Go ahead and get this thing on here.
Today we're gonna take a hike up Ramsey Prong. We're gonna follow an old road bed. We're gonna go up to one of the prettier cascades in the park, up to Ramsey Cascades. It's a strenuous hike, but it's one of the prettier ones up here, one of the prettier waterfalls up here. And I've drafted one of our employees, a professional hiker himself, Mr. Lee Lewis. We're going to go up and see what we can see. We should see a little wildlife on the way up, hopefully a bear maybe. But we are going to go through an area that was never logged. Some of the trees are 8, 9, 10 feet in diameter. We're going to follow a pretty stream the whole route. And it's easy walking as far as footpath, and it is strenuous. We're going to gain a little elevation. It's a high elevation waterfalls. And it's quite a hike, especially in the summertime. You could come up and just enjoy, leave the heat of Gatlinburg and come up and lose 20 degrees in temperature. And I think you're going to enjoy it. I know you
I'm sure
thought about coming up here, and we're going to see what it looks like now. When we get up about 2 miles, that the lumber people never really logged. And that's one reason why this stand of trees up here is one of the premier stands inside the park.
So this is going to be just a virgin forest then?
Yes, it is. It's one of the few inside the park, true virgin forest. That's it. You just set that down.
I'll do it. How's that?
Feels great. Very enjoyable.
Okay.
Well, this is Ramsey Prong right in here. We'll follow this entire length all the way up to the Cascades.
There's some pretty big rocks over there.
Yeah, and it's real wide in here. This is a great place if you just want to drive up and swim and lay out on a big rock up here.
It's a nice day for this.
Oh, it's perfect. That's the nice thing, no matter how hot it is in Gatlinburg, coming up here and just almost like going up north 1,000 miles. You lose that humidity and that hot temperature.
Day.
At one time, this little section of road that we're running in right up through here, you could drive your car all the way up to the old trailhead. And if we could do that today, we'd shave 1.5 miles off the hike.
So we've got 1.5 miles before we actually get to the trail, is that right?
The official trailhead, yeah.
Now this is Ramsey Prong, right?
Yeah.
Where does this start out from?
This starts up high up on Mount Gio, as a little spring right at the Appalachian Trail where it goes, skirts around the main summit of Mount Gio. And it just rolls its way down.
Surely that's not
picks up tributaries, and this is what you're seeing now is actually began as a spring.
That's not the same little water trickle at the foot of Gio, is it?
That's quite a bit of water coming down today too.
Sure is.
Boy, it is like emerald green. That's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
That water looks clear enough to drink.
Sure does.
If it was only 35 degrees warmer, it'd be nice to go in sit in those rapids, get a hot tub effect. After 1920, a lot of people built summer homes up in this section. The land became too hard to farm. People started moving out of this section, and you had a lot of the more affluent people built summer homes. Harvey Broom was a big mountaineer up here, and he, in his personal journals, I think one of his favorite spots was just to sit out on his front porch up in this area, just gaze out and look at the animals. As you can see, this would be quite a place to have a home.
Sure would be. Well, what kept it from getting logged like the rest of the area?
The main reason most of this land, they started settling back in the very early 1800s by the Whaleys, and the Oakleys were the dominant families up here. And they just owned all of this land, and it was good enough for mountain land to farm. And they never sold out to the lumber companies. So that was one of the major factors, that they did not get in here and just clear cut all the timber, especially when we get farther up. We're following the old, you can see how wide this road is, and you can imagine driving this 1.5 miles in a vehicle and have to worry about somebody coming around one of these bends in the opposite direction.
That'd have been quite an experience. Is there any caves back in here?
Not up in this section, not true caves. You may find some hollows that you could crawl into, but look at the size of that boulder. Must be every bit of 100 tons.
Look at this one right here.
Practice rappelling off that. That's
Off
a good
that
one to learn, yeah. Towel from that tree up there.
What kind of vines are these?
Most of them are grapevines, just plain old grapevine. This is just a boulder field. This is just an area where you can really see what this massive upheaval that formed the mountains 200 million years ago. And it's unique because you don't see it everywhere. This is pretty hard rock too. This is a metamorphic rock in here. This is not sandstone. The first Whaleys in this area came over around the turn of the century, 1802, 1803, and actually came across what was called Indian Gap at that time. It's now called Dry Sluice Gap, but it follows Porter's Creek all the way up. And they actually came over from the Carolina side down Porter's Creek and settled this area. And by 1940, I think one time there were 23 families, predominantly Whaleys and Onbys. And their school up here, the little Greenbrier School, had 225 pupils in it out of the 23 families. So that's 7 or 8 children per family. And it may have even been higher than that when you consider some of their children had to be young, probably were even not enrolled in school when they took that census.
Now, is the old school up this way, or is it somewhere
Well, you can
else?
still see the foundation. It's not on this trail. It was on the road that we drove up coming in. Later on in June, these will turn into large flowers with bulbs, the red portion that day around, and they're iridescent. It's almost like cardinal flower. They glow in the dark. Late in the afternoon when most of the light's gone, these things are actually iridescent. It's a beautiful flower. A little early for them. This is what some of your early explorers used to pull off rocks and make soup with.
So they actually ate it.
Yeah, you scrape it off the rock, and a lot of times that's all they had to eat. It's called lichen, and it was a mainstay for your early explorers up here when they couldn't find food. In the dead of winter, you could always scrape your food off these rocks and make soup with it. It was pretty common. A lot of times that's all they had to eat. Early explorers like William Bartram, Daniel Boone, they learned this from the Indians. Indians have eaten it for probably thousands of years.
What causes these lower limbs to either die or not be any? Do they just grow that fast?
Well, they have so much competition from the thickness of the foliage that they just don't sprout limbs until they get above the other thick foliage. If you look about where these limbs do come out on your big trees, they're basically above where your smaller trees are, so they can compete for the sunlight. It's very similar to your forest in the Amazon. You don't have a lot of ground cover down here with rhododendron and mountain laurel because it's predominantly shade up here all the time.
What is this?
Follow it up, that's a lightning bolt. It's hit many years ago, but it started. You see where it actually burned up. Maybe not that long ago. That's pretty fresh charcoal, but it went, the odd thing, it could have been an up bolt. It came up about 10 feet, and then it left the tree right here and then went on up to the sky. Generally, if it stays in the tree, it'll leave a mark all the way up to where it departs. But you can tell how hot it is.
Well, it was awful hot.
This is definitely not a place to be standing when it hit.
No.
When that lightning hits, it just superheats the pulp inside the tree and the water, and it just explodes and bursts open, rips the tree. That's why you see these marks and scars and bulges on them.
So if it had followed the tree on out, it'd have blew the top off of it.
Yeah. That and it just split a seam all the way up to the top. That's one thing that makes the up bolts dangerous, because they can travel horizontally on the ground up to a mile and a half before they ever go up into the sky and equalize. And that's what this looks like. You just had a big charge develop in this area. It went up about 10 feet and then took off. This is a great spot to take a break. And this is where the old trailhead originally started. And this is what you're looking at in here is the old turnaround in your automobile, and then you would park back about 100 yards. And it's actually 2.5 more miles to the Cascade. And now with this additional road area, it's 4.5, 4 miles. But it's a pretty spot.
It really is.
You really get a good view of Ramsey Prong looking out through here. Talk about trout fishing. Sun there and there.
It's a real good right here.
Now, I don't know about you, but I'm gonna take this thing off if you'll grab this.
Alrighty, I got the band. Feels good, doesn't it?
It does. I feel like I'm gonna float away. This makes, for someone that doesn't want to exert a lot of effort, an ideal hike, just 1.5 miles up and 1.5 miles back.
There's a lot
Just
to
have
see,
lunch
too.
right here and hike back. Hiking time's about an hour.
It's nice and cool.
Oh, it's great. That's beautiful, isn't it? Really beautiful. Just kind of makes you want to jump in. Just sit there all day. Look at the rapids down here. Well, that'd be a place to sit. Work all your tired muscles out. And this is where Buck Fork comes in to the right, up here. This is another prong, and we're going to follow to the left. This is cross country up this way. If you go up about 2 miles, you'll find a downed twin-engine Beechcraft that crashed back in 1946. Still sitting up there, right under the summit of Mount Geo. A deer. Back this way, Kevin. Oh, this is... tell you, it's hard to leave this spot, but
It's a nice spot.
we've got a pretty good break. We did get to see a deer and a buck. We're going to head on up into this trail now. It's going to get a little overgrown, but it's really the pretty section of the trail starts here.
So it gets better than what we just came through.
Yeah, no comparison at all. Be my guest.
Alrighty.
It's almost like a tunnel with this rhododendron in here.
It's nice.
Very cool. Feel a temperature drop?
Yeah, I'd say it changed 10 degrees in a matter
Yeah,
of
at least
3 seconds. You know, this is what hiking's all about right up through here.
Oh, this is nice.
Just the water rushing over some of these rocks, isn't that beautiful?
And get up here and take a break. Look at this. This is pretty nice little waterfalls. Beautiful. One reason it's so cool up here, all that water evaporates. When you see a lot of tree roots like we're walking over, it's a good indication on a trail that it just doesn't get a lot of traffic.
No, it doesn't. Whoa. What would you say? This is an old
It's like an old chestnut.
and then a
Looks like a birch. Sprouted up above it. Rhododendron growing out over here.
And that's just half the stump. You know, it'd be hard to imagine just how big those trees really were.
Look how clear that water is.
It's crystal clear. You can't even see it move right there in one spot.
This used to anchor the cable that ran the original bridge. Summer of 1987, there was a group of four scout troops up here. There were 25 kids that went out on this bridge and stood right where you're looking. And they all got out on the same time and started jumping up and down on the bridge. The bridge collapsed, and all 20 of them fell in this ravine, which is about a 20-foot fall.
Ooh.
And that's one thing, all the footbridges are safe, but they're not something you want to get 3 or 4 people out and jump up and down on. And it's something that you really should be aware of.
Did any of those get seriously hurt?
They had some broken bones.
So after that, what, they didn't bother putting it back up?
Well, they put this new bridge over here. I'll give you an idea. This has to be 6 foot in diameter. Probably takes 6 or 7 people to go around it.
Look at this.
If you can look up without falling over backwards, I don't think you can do it.
I don't think you can either.
This gives you pretty good idea.
Here, grab it.
Man, we're talking about a big piece of wood right here.
How old do you say that is?
A couple of 100 years old. Maybe older. I don't know if I told you earlier about the girdling of the trees, but that's how the settlers did it. They had to get them out of the way to build a cabin. So they'd take a hatchet and go all the way around the bottom of the tree, through the bark. That way the tree couldn't get water, and then it would eventually die over a couple of years, and then they'd burn them down.
You know, getting it down is one thing, but moving it after it's on the ground would be another.
Yeah, you're right. Imagine you could build 2 or 3 condominiums with this. See what's down the trail. We kind of topped out on that little ridge. That's a pretty good climb.
That was a neat little climb.
At least it's flat.
That makes it a little bit easier.
There aren't any roots. You're looking at them. 3 of them. The rest of it's sitting right on the rock. It's almost a natural shelter up here.
Looks that way.
Nice for somebody to set these stairs. Hey, you could sleep 2 people in there.
It'd protect you from a lot of weather.
Yeah. That must be 15 foot deep down in there.
I'd say it is. That's so neat.
Look at this debris that's washed down during that last storm. That's some big wood to come down this draw.
Sure did. There's enough to break it out right there.
Yeah.
Boy, look at that.
Oh. Man. Man, I've never seen that much water coming over.
Isn't that beautiful?
Year. That must be 4 times the amount of water. Good. That's spectacular. Ready?
at that.
Unbelievable.
That's amazing. What is it, about 10 tiers of rocks it hits?
Yeah. When it's not as much water, you really get that cascading effect of different designs all the way down. This pool down here is about 5 feet deep.
Yeah. Where do we need?
Man, this is... Look at this pool over here. Now that must be...
That's unbelievable.
Looks like you could dive into it.
Doesn't it feel good, though?
Oh, man, that's great, isn't it? This is quite a view.
This really is. Like sleep here,
It's perfect. You got an open sky above you. Wait a minute. Lee, it was worth the climb up here because
it sure was.
we've been fortunate enough to see something, and our audience at home has seen something. A lot of water coming over the Cascades today that I have never seen this much before. It's possibly 4 times the amount of water that I've ever photographed up here. And for this time of the year to be as dry as it is, it's really something to catch it like this. And it
Surely was nice.
That last long grade well worthwhile coming up just to be able to sit and enjoy it and eat lunch and just take everything in. The only problem is you really want to stay up here for a while, and we've got to head back now. And as far as you really need to look at the signs up here as far as rock climbing and and read what the Park Service has posted, because it is a dangerous area if you're not familiar with it. And as these signs bear testament to the people that have been injured up here and have lost their lives. Well, I guess it's getting dark, and if you'll give me a hand,
Okay.
help me with this pack.
Well, I'll do it.
All right, let it out.
Got it?